Hi there, friends. I wanted to share an update about one of my musings, my thoughts, my journal entries, and it's about mental health and body image. I do want to preface this with I do discuss some of my childhood trauma, and as I've discussed it in past posts, um, the relationship that I have with my family is nothing like I had when I was younger. I love them, and they are doing so well in their own trauma healing and going to therapy and having a psychiatrist, and I'm really proud of them. So I just need to say that up front before I kind of dig into what my journal said, um, so that nobody thinks I'm hating on anybody, because I'm not. Um, Not even a couple years ago, I was disgusted with myself. I thought I was the lowest of the low, drowning in anger and shame that had everything to do with the conditioning I grew up with. When the people who are supposed to protect you from monsters are the monsters, hope feels like a luxury. Even though my light was dulled, I still had one, and that light, dim as it was, attracted monsters of every kind. Sometimes I became one too. It was easy to sink into misery, to take on the ugliness around me, but deep down I knew that there was still good in me. Like the Japanese art of kintsugi, where broken pottery is mended with gold, I was broken, but not destroyed. I was lucky enough to have glimpses of goodness. My grandparents, teachers, neighbors, they proved that everyone was a monster, even if it took me years to learn how to tell the difference between them and people who were truly kind. I always had strong intuition, almost a kind of magic about me. But as a child, I was forced to bury it. With that repression came pain, physical, emotional, spiritual pain, and my body carried this pain. Trauma doesn't just sit in your mind, it carves itself into your flesh. Weight gain became my shield, a way to protect myself in a world where it felt constantly exposed. People didn't see me, they just saw fat. They looked past my beautiful eyes, past my expansive mind, past my glorious spirit, and reduced me to a body they could judge. And when you live like that long enough, you start believing it yourself. That's the thing people don't always understand about body image and mental health. They're deeply connected. When you're treated like your body is a problem, you begin to carry shame that doesn't even belong to you. And shame festers. It eats at your confidence, your voice, and your sense of worth. For years, I felt like my size made me less deserving of happiness, love, even basic kindness. But I have since learned something vital. Healing my relationship with my body has been inseparable from healing my mind. When I started trauma therapy in 2021, I didn't just shed emotional weight, I also began shedding physical weight. I had actually been working on my weight the summer of 2020, but through food choices, intermittent fasting, and even starting a GLP-1, I started losing. And I'm not ashamed of any of this, because both of the experience of having medication and making physical changes with my diet and exercise, they came from the same decision. I am worth saving. And this is what's wild. The more compassion that I've built for myself, for my body, the healthier my mind has become. And the more that I've healed my mind, the less I punish my body. It's a cycle, but one that works in my favor now. Now let's fast forward to the current day. I've reached a place many women do in their early 40s. I just don't give a fuck anymore. Okay, I am working on my tactfulness. It is no concern of mine. Is that better? I don't care. Okay, it's no concern of mine if people find me attractive or not. It's no concern of mine if people judge me, because they always will. For years, I lived in extremes. The people pleaser who silenced myself, or the furious monster lashing out because of all the repression. Now, I'm finding that middle ground. I'm still working on how I communicate because my directness sometimes comes across as harsh. I don't want to crush anybody under my heel. I want to speak my truth without cutting too deep. But whether people see me as a delicate person or a dangerous monster, I know who I really am. I'm a dandelion. I'm not a dainty flower, but a wild, healing, resilient one. You'll find me growing in the cracks of a busy sidewalk. Some will trample me, some will pluck me to make a wish, and some will admire my stubborn beauty and leave me alone. Whatever happens, I'll keep coming back, again and again. What many don't realize is this: I'm still a monster. I always will be, but I choose not to live as one. We all have a monster inside of us. Healing doesn't kill it. Healing teaches us how to hold it without letting it take over. 2 years ago, I moved across the country, completely alone, to a place I had never been. Not for a man, a job, or any family. For myself. That was terrifying, but freeing. Sitting in my cold apartment one winter day, just a couple days after moving, I realized something. I could be anybody that I wanted. Nobody here was going to cage me. That freedom was so exhilarating, but also kind of daunting. Who would I be? What would I do? Would I make a completely different life for myself? And I knew that I had to be as genuine as possible. I didn't want to have another role. I wanted to be who I was, and I was just discovering that, who I was. My thoughts became reality. When I'm physically smaller, well, I'll never fit society's narrow beauty standards. And fuck those standards. My confidence does waver like anyone's, but I am no longer believing in that my worth is tied to how closely I can mimic a magazine cover. I post pictures of myself, not for validation, but as proof. Proof of survival, proof of progress, proof that bodies like mine are not mistakes, and they are beautiful. Body positivity isn't just about loving your reflection. It's about protecting your mental health from a world that profits off your self-hatred. It's about refusing to let shame bury you alive. It's about saying, I exist. I deserve to take up space, and I will not apologize for it. People will always judge. Some will even fetishize me. Some insult. But others will see me, really see me, my scars, my body, my magic, the monster, dandelion, everything. And that's enough. Because this is who I am. Broken and mended, direct and learning tact, monster and healer, sidewalk weed, stubborn flower. And I'll keep coming back. So that was my journal entry the other day, and it feels really empowering to write that and share it with you. But I have since been going to physical therapy for some recurring back pain. And one of the things about healing my mind and healing my body and gradually losing weight is that there's injuries that come back up while you're going through all of this positive healing. Because as my body changes and sheds weight and gains strength, I still have chronic illness and chronic pain. Because a lot of my mental health issues that I had, I ignored. And when you ignore your mind, your mental health, it does start showing up as physical. I completely agree with that. I am the proof of that, and there's lots of people that are the proof of that. And I do have chronic psoriasis and psoriatic arthritis. I will never have uh, any type of healing from that because there's apparently no current cure that is known, at least to the public. And I have decided to start taking a injection that helps with my psoriatic arthritis and psoriasis this summer, but it causes my immune system to be dulled. And so I have to be really, really aware around people in public places because especially during the beginning of the fall and winter season is where everybody gets sick, or it's more common, and it's very common for me, and I don't want to get sick. So even if that means I have to stay in and of course wear a mask and stuff, I need to protect myself because it's going to take me longer to heal if I do get sick. And I'm not going to say that I'm not, I'm just trying not to. But I am going to physical therapy. And I was telling my physical therapist when I met them, you know, I don't like talking about how I got my body in such the wreck that I did, the weight gain and the pain and the injuries and stuff, because I'm not always comfortable talking to them about that kind of stuff. But I understand that they're there to help me. They're there to help me learn stretches and movements and keep my body, lubricated, because movement is lubrication. And so, as I get more comfortable with them, I might open up a little bit more about some things. But I feel that they need to know my story only for the capacity of trying to help me with my body. But I don't have hours to talk about it. Like this is not a trauma session or a therapy session mentally. This is physical. So, but I realized, and I've known this, but I was realizing that my body is changing, and as my body changes, like the way I walk changes, and the way that I move my body changes because I have less inflammation. And these injuries that I've had in the past, they're kind of rearing back up and saying, hey, I'm still here. You're not really fully healed, but we kind of like were put on the back burner for other things. And that's why my back is flaring up. It's been through a lot. I mean, me moving, me traveling, me driving long distances, sleeping on couches that are uncomfortable, beds that are uncomfortable, etc. Not having as much lumbar support, all those reasons, I am getting myself better situated. But I realized that navigating my mental health and working on my physical health, I'm going to be in pain. And no one that I know connects that as you heal, you are going to be in pain. They don't talk about it enough, I guess. Because no one wants to hear about like the negatives of like healing your life and healing your mental health and healing your emotional health and spiritual health and physical health. They want to talk about all the goodness. And so this is what I think. I recognize when I'm in pain that it is a sign that my body is responding and letting me know that it's finally letting me know, and I'm actually paying attention to it instead of neglecting it and ignoring it and just throwing pain meds on it, that it's still here and it's still functioning and it still loves me. And it's like, hey, I'm just a body, and I just want to let you know that you need to pay attention to this because it's not going away. You can't just shove it in a box. Let's take care of this because it's you and you or me. And so I give it love. And there's like a procedure, I guess, that one of my really close spiritual friends kind of told me, and she's going through some really bad issues too with her health, worse than mine, and I hope that she, finds some relief. But sit with the pain. Put your arms over it or your hands on it or however you can reach it if you can. and acknowledge it and say, I see you, I feel you, I acknowledge you. I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to take care of myself. And whatever I need to do, I want you to know that I'm not ignoring you anymore. And I want to release you. So when you're ready to release, when you're ready to stop crying and hurting, you're free to go. And there's times when I've been in pain and I have acknowledged it like that, and it has lessened and gone away. There's also times like when I fly, for some reason, I have kidney issues and I get kidney stones. And when you're up in the plane and the atmosphere difference and the pressure difference, my kidneys, my lower back kill me. Like I'm trying to get comfortable, and I'll my neck pillow I'll put behind my back to just try to relieve the discomfort. And that happened a couple of times, but then as soon as I get off the plane, I go to the restroom to see if I'm going to pass a kidney stone or whatever, and the pain's not there anymore. And so I realized after a couple times of flying and experiencing that it was only when I was in the air. And I talked to my doctor about it, and he said that, yeah, your body's going through a completely different pressure, sensation, etc. when you're flying. And so I started acknowledging before I would get on the plane, and I try to say this every day, but I request the most benevolent of outcomes for myself, and that I do not experience any pain while I'm in flight. And I make it specific because I also, usually before I get in my car and drive anywhere or get in the car with somebody else, I will tell myself I request the most benevolent of outcomes for today, that I make it safely to my destination and safely home. And I just request benevolent outcomes for anything. And I request it for other people too. And I usually say it out loud. Maybe I whisper it sometimes if I'm in a crowd of people. But I'm going to tell you, if you've gotten this far and listening to me talk, do it. Try it. It's not going to hurt you. That's the thing. A lot of this stuff, a lot of this magic, a lot of this spiritual, a lot of this whatever you want to call speaking to the cosmos, speaking to God, speaking to Allah, speaking to the Pastafarian or whatever religion you believe in or don't believe in, it doesn't hurt to try it. I mean, people might think you're a little wacky if they're near you, but I don't. Once again, we go back to, I don't care what people think. So I've tried that, and I have flown several times since I started requesting this most benevolent outcome, and I don't have any lower back pain. And I'm not lying. Sometimes I get so caught up in life that I forget to request most benevolent outcomes, and my life still goes okay. But I started doing this. The book Benevolent Outcomes, I believe, is by an author named Tom T. Moore, and he's based out of Dallas, Texas, and he has written several books, and he's very interesting. I've listened to a couple of his interviews on YouTube. But his first book, I've read parts of it, but I've mostly learned about him through interviews. And I'm part of his newsletter, his email newsletter that's free that he sends, I think, every week. But I started with the most benevolent outcomes with driving spaces. I started it when I lived down south because I used to go to this beautiful area that had restaurants and stuff, and you had to do street parking, parallel parking, and it was always booked. And so I started requesting the most benevolent outcome that I would find a street parking spot near the restaurants. And lo and behold, someone would be pulling out of a spot, or there would be a spot available. And I'm not talking about the closest spot, because I believe walking's healthy, but just a spot that's not 2 miles away. And I don't have to pay for it, because if you couldn't find street parking, you'd have to go to a parking garage and pay for it. It started working, and I don't know if I shared it with people I was with when I would go to those locations. I don't think it really matters right now because I can't go back and change that, but just a little bit requests like that. Calling out into the cosmos, into the universe, to your guides, to your angels, to God, whatever you want to call it or believe, the higher power that be. It's worked. And I need to do more of it. And it's kind of like mini manifestations. So, I need to start acknowledging my pain spiritually. I need to start requesting more benevolent outcomes for myself and for my friends and people that I love and care for, and even strangers. I do it. And remind myself that even though some of the stuff I do might come across as ridiculous or silly, that I just don't care if people think that. And I don't care that I share this to complete strangers on the internet and the world, and they think I'm cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, because I am, and I'm okay with that. But yeah, I just want people to realize that healing is not linear, and there's going to be pain involved at some capacity. Mental pain, physical pain, spiritual pain, whatever. Frustration, confusion, upsetness, whatever. But it's 1,000,000 to infinity% worth it. So yeah, there's my chatterbox talk for now. I hope that you all are well, and I'll post soon again.